Hello there, welcome back to everybody in the Smelly Army Private Members Club. So this week's main video, we're going to talk about my fragrance Gravitas Pour Homme, which I'm still extremely excited that we're going to be releasing very soon. And I'm going to be comparing it to some other well-known fragrances that I think it has a similarity to try and give you an easy way of understanding a little bit about how it smells, because unfortunately we don't have much juice yet. I can't send out samples at all to people at the moment. But regarding how you can get your hands on it if you are interested, and please, of course, I want this to be a success, but I don't, particularly to people here in the Private Members Club, I don't want you to feel I'm flogging this to you and, trying to get your money. So, it's only if you happen to be interested, I want you to be able to. The way that we're going to do that, of course, is a Kickstarter campaign. We are going to be launching that very soon. It was going to be the end of September. Turned out to be a little bit more fiddly than we thought naively perhaps we thought you'd just type it in and your campaign would be up and running. But of course, it's got to be verified by them and you've got to have a bank account set up. We kind of knew that, but these little things are taking a little bit longer than we thought. So very soon, the Kickstarter will be live, and I'll put the link in here for the Private Members Club people before I do it on YouTube. And there are going to be a few special limited edition ones with certificates, the first 10, I think, and stuff like that. So a few sort of special ones for people who get in there early will be available with batch numbers or bottle numbers 1 to 10, the first 10 that we roll out. Anyhow, let's talk about the fragrance then. So I've got my sample there, and it's of course from the perfumer John Stephen of the Cotswold Perfumery, and he's said there Mr. Smelly's own private personal fougere, which is lovely. Little did he know that we would christen it Gravitas Pour Homme, but indeed we have. And here is the current prototype bottle. The bottle we feel will be like this, with this cap and this bottle design, this simple square shape. The label will feature this logo, which you may be familiar with now, but we're not. This is a very basic one that I just got from a local printing shop, and we're hoping to have something a little bit more exciting than that. Maybe a gold plaque, maybe a different colour, or maybe just a slightly nicer, papery feeling white one. We're not sure. Let us know what you think about that in the comments below. So here it is, Gravitas Pour Homme. The notes are, we've got bergamot, mandarin and lavender, cardamom, coriander, pepper, ambergris, oak moss, patchouli and vanilla. So classic citrusy couple of notes in the opening. Lavender, typical fougere or barbershop fragrance note that's going to nearly always be in there. Oak moss and patchouli, very, very typical too. You would imagine there's probably some tonka coumarin in there. The perfumers don't always list that as a main note, but I would say there's probably some in there. And vanilla wasn't sent to us in the original note listing, but we have now confirmed that that is part of the formula for this one. So it's really, really nice. I love it. It performs very well so far. So 20% concentration, so we call that extract de parfum. Pretty high concentration of perfume oil, and it has this kind of greenness in the opening, but a heavy dose of lavender straight from the off, a lot of patchouli in there, and this really nice spiciness that I really like. And it's very hard to pick out one note. Maybe I get a little twist of something suggesting anise or star anise, or just that subtle licoricey note that we get in things like Rive Gauche Pour Homme or one of the others that I'm going to compare it to. So some of the things that it partially reminds me of, it's in no way a clone of anything else, totally an original creation, and the perfumer was not briefed to copy this or that or to be influenced by any other fragrance. I may have mentioned one or two that I liked, but it's no clone. So one to get out of the way, there is a similarity a little bit with Bois de Portugal from Creed. It also features a heavy amount of lavender and some bergamot. I think those might be the only listed notes they actually share, but it's got that shared element of being slightly green, spicy, and kind of a little bit of an old school vibe. Maybe not as much maybe as Bois de Portugal in mine. That's debatable. We'll see. So it's certainly similar, of course. I hope I'm not being big-headed, but I didn't create the perfume, so I do really like it, and I'm not boasting when I say I think it's on a level with some of these great ones. Another Creed one that I'm also reminded of a lot is Spice and Wood, or at least a little bit. And of course, this is quite a spicy formula with coriander and cardamom in there, pepper, can kind of play a similar kind of thing to is pepper a spice? I suppose it is, isn't it? Yeah, so it's kind of spicy, and of course spice and wood is also, I think that may have clove and cinnamon, which we get suggestions of things a bit like that maybe in Gravitas pour Homme as well. We never know what exact ingredients are in there. So there's this kind of spicy, masculine type of feel about the fragrance mixed with a certain freshness. And so for me, you will pick up a hint of similarity, I think, to Creed Spice and Wood. So maybe a little bit of Bois de Portugal with spice and wood can't be a bad thing, but we'll see what other people think. That's what I'm saying. Another one that Greg, actually, from the Greggy Boy 76 channel, I was lucky enough to meet him the other day and gave him a small try of this and a sample too, and at first he said he did pick up on a similarity with Histoire de Parfums 1725 Casanova, which has notes including bergamot and lavender and vanilla, so there's quite a few shared notes, and maybe even that slight licorice element that we get in this one, and which goes well with many barbershop scents. You can pick up a little bit of that maybe in Gravitas, so that gives you a little bit more idea maybe. And there's two others that I'm going to mention, I think. So one other one, actually, from the designer realm, I get a similarity with Armani's Eau pour Homme, sometimes in the kind of feel of the fragrance rather than picking up so specifically on one note or another. But Armani's Eau pour Homme again is a citrusy kind of opening with bergamot and other typical citrus accords, pretty much a lavender heavy fragrance too, and it has some patchouli in the base, so again sharing quite a few notes, a bit of a classic feel, but for me still timeless and wearable in any time. This one perhaps a tad more citrusy than Gravitas, both very classy, refined and gentlemanly. Is Gravitas a really old school fragrance? It has a hint of being atavistic, looking back to the past, but I don't think it's very, very retro. Greg actually said it was a bit less that way, less old school masculine 80s smelling than he perhaps thought it might be with the name and maybe with the way I talk about what I like in fragrances. I'm not, don't typecast me, guys. I'm not a total out and out 80s or 70s fragrance guy. I don't wear Koros a lot. I don't really love all of the old school 80s fragrances enough. I respect them, but I don't go around wearing them all the time. I'd probably rather wear Spice and Wood, a modern niche fragrance, any day than vintage Koros or maybe even Antaeus. I do like Antaeus. But yeah, Armani's Eau pour Homme, definitely something that I get hints of. And here's another one that I thought was definitely a good comparison. Of course, ours is a little bit more of a niche fragrance than this rather nice cheapie, so we hope we're doing things that will be worth spending the extra money on. But I have to respect this fragrance for the price. It is an absolute cracker, and that's Jai pour Homme from Boucheron. I've got the Eau de Parfum and the Eau de Toilette. This is the EDP Eau de Parfum. So this definitely has this kind of barbershop-y feel, or fougere type feel, but we could describe this as an oriental fougere. I don't think we'd quite go that far with Gravitas pour Homme, but this one definitely does have a healthy dose of vanilla, giving it that oriental twist. And our Gravitas does have a certain underlying sweetness, along with the herbaceous, typical green fougere elements. So there's a hint of that similarity, that there's a bit of sweetness, a bit of vanilla in the fragrance, maybe even benzoin, mixed in with citrus and spices, which you very much get with Jai pour Homme, and perhaps an almost powdery. And oh no, this juice, by the way, is some other fragrance with a similar colour. So yeah, smelling that wasn't particularly helpful. Yeah, it's got that kind of spiciness and a hint of sweetness, and a tad hint of the exotic or oriental style maybe in there as well, keeping it a little bit more modern, or not a total hairy chested 70s piney mossy fragrance. I don't get a lot of piney or mossiness. Well, there is oak moss, but it's not very, very. I wouldn't compare it to Ralph Lauren's Polo Green much, or certainly wouldn't compare it to the animalic fragrances of the 80s, like Koros or even Givenchy Gentleman, except that it's got a bit of patchouli. So I hope that makes some kind of sense and gives you a little bit more idea of the kind of thing. Let's say if you like these, you'll probably, or almost certainly, like Gravitas Pour Homme. Fougère Royale was one I meant to grab too, actually. I'd probably throw that in there as a valid comparison. So really looking forward to getting it out there. The main thing is to get you guys to be able to smell it, and very soon we'll be doing that. So let me know what you think about that in the comments below, and any other fragrances in that ballpark that you're thinking maybe it's going to be a bit like that or a bit like that. So remember the note listing: bergamot, mandarin, lavender, coriander, cardamom, pepper, ambergris, oak moss, patchouli, and vanilla. And I think that we're going to be putting out a really good price considering how good it is. It's really niche stuff. So we're looking hopefully for £75 for 100ml as our starting Kickstarter price. So look out for that coming up soon. Thanks for watching, guys. Remember, whatever you're doing in life, let's project. See you soon. Bye bye.